Hi everyone. I've got recording this art hour a little bit early this week because I am going for my COVID vaccine on Wednesday, and just in case I don't feel up to doing the horse's head, because I know a lot of people that I know have been quite icky for a day or so afterwards, and I didn't want to let anyone down by cancelling our art hour, so I thought I'd pre-record it for you, and you can draw along at your own leisure. So what we are going to do today is the horse's head. Now, I drew this one last week, but when I'd finished I'd noticed his ears are too small and his snoot is too long. So we are going to do another one, do it slightly slower because I think I rushed this one a little bit and the proportions are a little bit out, but sometimes you can only work that out after you've finished. So this was my trial run. So this is kind of what we're going to do, but hopefully it might be a bit better because I'll get my proportions a bit better this time. Okay, so all we need for this tutorial is a pencil and a rubber and some paper. That's all we need. It's a nice simple one. So what we're going to start off with, as normal, if this pencil looks a bit dodgy, but we'll do, it's going to be some shapes. So what I want to do here is kind of get a bit of a squashed circle in. So you go for a squashed circle. You can see that okay. This paper is a bit mucky, isn't it? Paper is a bit mucky. And from our squashed circle, we are going to do a rectangle over the top of this squashed circle. So that's the kind of shape we're going for. And then we're going to end that about there, and I think that's slightly shorter to where I did mine, because mine was quite long, and this is why I've got quite an exaggerated snoot on mine. So, nose, I call it a snoot. We've got a dog and we call his nose a snoot because he's got a little nose. So that's what we're starting with. A circle, a squashy circle, and a rectangle. And that will give us the shape. So if we go a little way up our rectangle, so about there, I want to connect it with this circle. So we give that a little line across. Paper's too dirty. And then when we've done that line, I want you to do another line that kind of echoes that line a little bit further down that. So about there. Then on this corner here, I want to take that corner off. So we're taking that corner off, we're smoothing that round, so we take this corner off. So we rub out that corner. Okay, and then we are going to, from here, take a little half moon shape around there. Now that will just give us a rough idea of where his nostril is going to go. And then again here, from that point to this point here. So that gives us a lip, this bottom lip. Then about here, so bring that round slightly, and just about here we introduce a bit of the mouth. Now a lot of these lines will be rubbed out, so then we go kind of that shape for now. I know it looks a little bit disjointed, but believe me, it will work once we're on our way, once we're getting a few more of the shapes in. So then where we've got this circle and this line here, I want you to give yourself a little line there. And then a swoop here, and then the line here, and that kind of gives us an idea as to where his eye is going to do. So it's a little line there, and then a circle in the centre. And then from here, we need to give him an ear. Now this is a shape that is going to be an ear shape. I can't say it's any other shape than an ear. So we will give it a line, and then a line here. So like a V, straight V on that side, circular, slopey V on that side. Then a little guideline at the top. A little guideline at the top, and that's coming up. So here, so we're coming down a little bit here, and we're going to meet that line. We're not quite going to meet it in a round shape as we did with this one. We're going to bring it more of a round and up. You think of an ear shape, and that's more of its shape. And then as we've done the little flick there, we'll do a little flick this side, and we're going to bring that round there. So you think of it, think of the shape of the outside shape of an ear. and then to produce the inside, because obviously you won't see the inside of that ear because it's away from you, but you will see the inside of this ear. So at this point here, we're going to give ourselves that kind of line. So we've got nostril, eyes, ears. So we need to create his neck. So first of all, from this point here, we are going to give ourselves an extra line there. A little bit of a line there, just a touch line, don't worry if it's, and then from his ear we're going to echo this line. So from his ear we're going to take this line around. So you're taking that line around. And there's our basic shape of our horse's head already. So you've done very well so far. So let's get rid of this guideline. We don't need him anymore. So now we're going to go on to a little bit more working in the shape of our horse's head. So we're going to move ourselves around a little bit here. I'm going to bring this down. And now where we've got to this line here, we're going to take it in slightly, taper it in. Actually, let's get that to about there. So we'll taper that in. So we've made, say, the inside of his nostril. So there's your original line. You taper that in. And then we echo this line here, just there. That doesn't have to be a hard line, that's quite a soft line, that one. So that's, and then drop that down slightly. So that's giving you this kind of like this taper shape that we're going to go in a second. We're going to go back in and we're going to buffen that up slightly because obviously horses' ears are not that smooth. So we're going to do that. So that's your little line there. Take this round and then take that out slightly. So you've got your line there. Kind of a little line there. And that gives you a bit more nostril. That's your nostril. And then we are going to give him a little bit more roundness there. That's where we're roughly putting this on. Now you can see this doesn't work, does it? This is too far back. So we'll give that a little rub out. And let's get that where it needs to be. So we're kind of going in a little bit. And then going in around. So that gives him a better shape. And don't be afraid to move your guidelines. If you feel your guidelines aren't sitting properly where you think things should be, then don't be afraid to move them around. It's absolutely fine. See, my guideline was off there, so I moved it. Obviously still making mistakes. Yep, absolutely. That's part of the learning process. So that is our line now. That line will stay. That is not a guideline, so this line will stay. Okay, so now we're going to go up to his ears. Now we're going to take this line. You think we're just going to rough it up a little bit because it's not going to be as straight. So we bring that round. I'll make that slightly deeper, I think. Let's make that slightly deeper. Oh, that's kind of the shape we want. Bring that down there. And then this, we'll just give him a little, as we've given him a little tweak up here, we'll give him a little tweak on this ear as well. Now what we noticed is so far our horse is quite bald, isn't he? So we need to think about where his hair is going to go, his mane is going to go. So his mane, I think if we start it here where we've got this extra bit of ear there, if we think about his mane is going to kind of be around that area. So what we can do with those two lines of this ear is we can rub those out. And then if we think of where his mane is going to go, it's going to go behind that ear and back round here. As he's moving his neck, because that's his back, so if you kind of think of the way that he's bringing his neck, his mane is going to come this way, but it's going to be behind him. So we'll have some mane coming out this side from that mane there. So that will be where his mane is. So if you give yourself a little bit of mane. Hair is hard. I find hair still so difficult to do. So if we think about, that's where his mane will be. So we're doing okay so far, I think. So what we need here is we need to start thinking about muscles and cheeks and where this eye is going to go. So we think we're going to have some shading kind of down here, and then we're going to have a little bit more coming this way. So what we can do now is just rub out this bit of the line and this bit of the line there. So take that out. Take that out. Don't take this bit, because this, as you can see, this is going to be where his cheeks are. So if we take just that bit by his eye, just there. And we're getting a lot more horse shape now, aren't we? We're only 20 minutes in, so doing quite well. So the next thing we will concentrate on is just getting this cheek. So this cheek, we're going to give it a little line this way, and then to this point, kind of like how you would draw a bird. You think of drawing a bird like that. That's probably better there. So if we draw our bird kind of that shape, that's kind of the shape we're going for. So we're going for a bit of a roundy circle there. Bit of a roundy circle there. Now that line will join up with that one, but then we need a second line here. And this just gives him a bit more muscle structure. So we're taking that line there and then we're joining that line there. So it just gives him a bit more muscle structure. And then what we can do now is get rid of this line. Okay, now we're going to leave this bit in because it's going to show us where there's going to be a little bit of shade. If you look at this horse that I did, you can still see this, you can still roughly see that circle in there still. And that's just to kind of give you an indication of where your muscle structure will be when you're doing a little bit of shading. So this is thinking about a little bit of shading around there. This is just a little bit of rough, so you can roughly see where things will go in a little bit, because now we're going to concentrate on his eye. Okay, horses' eyes are not easy because horses' eyes always look, well, I always think they look quite worried in most pictures. So we're going to give it a little bit more here, a little bit more here, and then his eye here. And then we're going to start our first proper bit of shading. So when I say shading, I mean start with a gentle pressure and then keep adding to your pressure of your pencil. And that's going to give you more of a shape there. So there's the kind of eye shape that we're looking for. So just give it a little bit more. Leave a tiny bit because you think about his eye will be shiny. If he's a nice healthy horse, his eye will be shiny. Get a little bit bigger. Okay. So next we will think about our shading this side. So this is his cheek. So let's take that severe line out. There. You need to know roughly where it is because we are going to be kind of shading that way as well. So we're going to go in with a little bit of shade in this side. I'm thinking about eye sockets. So I'm not going to shade right next to his eye because his eye socket would be there. But just going to give it a little bit across here. And a little bit down here. Then we need to shade inside his ear. So we're going to be thinking about, now when we did petals, remember which way we were thinking about when we shade. So his ear is, you think about it, it's this shape. So that's the way we need to shade. We don't shade across or shade up. We shade in the direction of his ear. And that gives you, so it's going to be darker at this point. So press down your pencil. This is a B, this pencil's a B. A HB is going to be probably your most flexible pencil. If you're only just started with pencil drawings, a HB is the best pencil to use because it's got a lot more flexibility on pressure and what you can develop with it. So carry on with our shading. So it's darker here, so we're harder pressure. And then as we come up, obviously the light will be hitting this side of his ear more. So we lessen off the pressure, we lift the pencil slightly more off the paper. And we give it, there we go. So leave it a little bit of white paper showing through, just on each of these sides, because that then gives you the indication of the face of the ear. I'm just going to give that a little bit there. That's roughly where his head would be. Okay, so then this ear, just a little bit where his mane would hit it, but no more. You don't need really to give much definition to that ear because it is slightly further away. We go into his mane, we give that just a few little initial strokes. I mean, that's enough to give you the impression of his mane, really. And then for this part, we will just think about giving little bits of dark and light, just so you can see there's a little bit of movement there. Okay, so then we're going to go on to his neck here. Obviously we need a lot more shading in this area, but we're going to go just carry on here. And I want you to just give that a little bit more shading. Thinking about his mane coming over his shoulder there. So then we'll get into his snoot and his nostril. obviously again with the darker areas. His nostril would be quite dark on the inside here. Give it a decent pressure, then take it off slightly. Thinking about his nose. So then he's got a nostril line here, but we'll just be very gentle with that. We don't need too much there. Give it a little bit at the bottom to give it a little bit more of an indication. And then we're going to give this just a gentle shade just up here to this line here, and meeting the shade that we've initially put slightly round his eye. And then here we've got this extra line, and we're going to follow this cheek around across here. Now this is going to be kind of a line with a V shape underneath it, and this just gives the extra definition. So we've got our line that's coming up from here, right here, and round, and I'm going to take this down. Now that little bit that I've still got there, I'm going to take that out. So then we get back to his nose, and we're going to give that a little bit more shading. Start darker where his nose is here. It needs to be a little bit further out, I think. See, there's me extending his nose again, giving him too much snoot. I don't normally draw horses, so you'll have to excuse me. Okay, so give this a little bit more shading, and then his little mouth here, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. It's a little bit too big for my liking. She says making exactly the same size. So then give this some shading as well. Think about where his lip is. No, the underneath of his mouth. And then this part, I think we'll just take it a little bit lower. Possibly a little bit lower, yeah, that's a bit better. So then we've got the whole line here. Our cheek here, so give that a little bit more definition now. And we need to give this a little bit more shadow. So we think of a horse's face, so we go his eye, and then his cheek, here, just give him a bit more. So now we need to give him a little bit of definition on his neck because his face is looking roughed out. So we need to give this bit some. So looking at his neck, we need to give this bit a little bit more, and then the indication of the muscles on his neck. That's a little bit too severe, that line, so I'll take that out a little bit. Keep on little bits of shading. And then as we've got a little bit here, we just give that an extra now. I think. So a little bit extra. This pulls a little bit extra as well. So we're just going over where we've done our initial shading. We can then go back in and start to add the little bits that we need, and that we need a little bit more around his neck. I'm just using a little bit more pressure around his neck now to give an indication of just going to take a bit of it out. It's a little bit too high. And a little bit too dark as well. Sorry, that's just Buddy barking at the cat. Come in the flap. Oh. Sorry, the cat's just brought a mouse in and now the dog's taking the mouse into the patio. Drama on the video. If anyone knows me, they know I've got a couple of cats and a very fluffy dog. The dog is a better mouser than the cat, so if the cat brings a mouse in that's still alive, which does happen a lot, we open the patio door and the dog catches the mouse and takes him outside and drops him at the bottom of the garden by the shed, and he runs free. The dog has a sixth sense of when the cat has brought a mouse in. He knows. There's the cat sheepishly going back out of the cat flap. Hey, did he take your mouse? Oh dear. I know, mate, but do you know what? I really didn't fancy mouse for lunch. No. But thank you for the offer, Storm. You're very kind. So, guys, you can carry on with your horse. I do think that's a better horse than that horse. You look at how much more in proportion. So, you know, everybody's always learning, still learning. That's one. That's two. This is a better one. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I apologise that it's not a live one, so I'm not seeing any comments and stuff, but this is just in case I feel a bit poo after my COVID jab. But thank you very much for joining in, everybody. And we will be back next week. And we will be back next week with, we are going to do Donald Duck next week. That is what we're going to, there you go, see that a bit better. So this is our last week of natural, and we are going to go on to classic Disney. So next week we are going to be doing Donald Duck. And then after Donald Duck, I think we are going to be doing Mickey Mouse and Dopey. But thank you again for joining in, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.